What's up guys, welcome. Today I'm here to save your life. I'm going to grab your little hand and I'm going to take you step by step through the process of drawing anatomy. It's going to be so simple, so easy, anybody at any skill level can learn this. Step number one, let's find ourselves a reference. I've got this reference here of a beautiful lady. The amount of underwear pictures I've had to browse through guys, my search history. Please grab your iPad, grab your pencil, grab your paper, whatever you use and follow along with me here. The first thing I'm going to try to establish is the shape of the head. What I like to use for this is a circle at the top and sort of a wedge shape at the bottom for the jaw. Once we have that, we're going to draw a rough line down through the spine just to kind of place where the body is. Now along the spine, we're going to be drawing an egg. And this is not just any egg, this is actually the rib cage. So what we want to do is establish a center line on the surface of this egg, and then we'll make a cut at the bottom here, kind of like that, and that gives you the rough shape of the rib cage. Of course, you want to make sure you leave some space for the neck right here, and just at the very top of this rib cage, you're going to get the line for your shoulders. Now, because I'm Asian, I want to take this chance to show you guys some important measurements. From the top of this rib cage to the top of the head, this is going to equate to 1/3 of the length of the upper torso. Moving down at the very bottom of the rib cage, that gives you your second third. Now, if we do another third all the way down to the bottom, that's going to give us the very bottom of the pelvis. So once we've measured out that line, we can then add a smaller, more squat, more squished egg shape, kind of like that. And that represents the pelvis of our character. This is the importance of understanding your measurements and understanding your proportions, because if you don't, it's very easy to make your character look like a giraffe. Now let's take this very squished egg shape here and let's put an underwear on it and cover that bad boy up just like that. And you want to draw a center line right down the middle, just like what we did for the upper torso. Now I'm going to just solidify my line through that spine a little bit more. And at this point, guess what? We are almost done step one. Now all we got to do is just trace out where the shoulders are going to be. Okay, we're going to draw a line to indicate the arms. It's like a stick figure. The elbows, okay, they usually end up near the bottom of the rib cage. So I'm going to mark down the elbows right there near where the bottom of the rib cage is. And then we're going to move our way down, mark where the wrists are going to be, just like that. This arm's going to be a little bit foreshortened. And there's the hand. Wow, look at that. That's a horrible hand. Almost as bad as AI. And here comes another beautiful and useful measurement. Let's trace a line right down this leg, and that's going to be the bottom of the foot. Now, how do you know that's the bottom of the foot, Sam? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because if you measure the top of the head to the bottom of the pelvis, that length is going to be about equal to the length of the lower torso. Isn't that just wonderful? Now, if you're impressed by that, don't worry, I've got more in store for you. Check this out. If you take this length and divide it in half, you get the kneecaps. So we'll get the kneecap right there, attach a line, and there's going to be the shape of the foot. Boom. Same thing on the other side. We're going to get the kneecap right around there, leg, ankle, foot. Now look at your reference, look at the pose, see if it's right. I'm going to just tweak this a little bit, move the leg in a little bit more. And if you've been following along, congratulations, we've just completed step one, which is structure. Step number two, basic shapes. So I'm going to just trace over the shape of the head right here. Now for this stage, what I'm doing is I'm adding simplified volume to the body. So think like you're building an action figure. From the head down, we're going to add in a cylinder shape for the neck. From this point on, we're going to add in a slight sloping shape for the traps. Just before we reach the shoulder joints, we're going to cut off this shape right here, and that's going to be our main torso shape. Now we're going to make a cut just under where the rib cage is going to be, and that gives us the chest. Again, thinking like we're building an action figure, we're going to add in a torso joint right here, just like that, and as it meets the hips, it's going to be cut off just like that, and at the hips, we're going to add in another flaring shape. At the front, we're going to again get that similar underwear cut. From this point, we can add in the center line on the torso. This just helps you place the positioning of the character's body. We're going to move on to the limbs just like before. We're going to add in a round ball joint for the shoulders. Now this joint can be bigger or smaller depending on the size of your character's arms. Then I'm going to add in some simple cylinder shapes that are going to attach to another round joint at the elbow. And that's going to attach to another cylinder shape that tapers down to the wrist, just like that. Same exact thing on the other side. We're going to add in a cylinder shape, add in a ball joint. Now the cylinder on the forearm here is going to be quite a bit foreshortened, so you want to make sure to indicate that. And we're going to add in the shape of the hand once again. Now, if I'm moving a little bit too fast for you guys, please pause the video and take your time. Catch up. I'll be right here, guys. I'm not going anywhere. I go get milk and I always come back. Now, let's move on to the hip joints. So we're going to add 2 big balls right here along the bottom of the hips, and these balls are going to attach to big cylinder shapes that are going to taper down towards the knees. Now you can kind of draw lines that connect the upper torso to the bottom torso. Same big tapered cylinder on the other side. Now this is of course for a female character. If you're trying to draw male characters, they're going to be built a little bit different. Female characters have wider hips because childbirth. Male characters have wider shoulders because ooga booga, they fight. Now we're going to add 2 round joints right here for the knees, just to indicate where they are. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move downwards to the calves, which are going to flare out and then taper in, flare out, taper in, flare out, taper in, ankle, ankle, triangle for the feet. Now turn off your structure layer and see if you've got a convincing looking action figure. So once you're happy with that, once you've added some basic shapes and some basic volume onto that stick figure, we can then move on to the hardest part, which is going to be adding hints of flesh and muscle. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trace over the jawline here. Now, I can't teach you all of the muscles on the human body. Please find a reference and use a reference. There's unfortunately simply no shortcuts for this. But speaking of simple, I'm simple. So I like to break things down and make them simple. You can just follow along with this video and try to steal some of the things that I do. So I'm going to give the character a face. There we go. Smiling, happy. Happy that you're taking the time to learn anatomy. Good for you, brother. I'm going to just kind of draw a curved line for the neck. Now it's very important to figure out where the collarbones are going to be. So in the middle right here, this is going to be where roughly the collarbones are going to meet the sternum on your rib cage. So from this point, I'm going to draw 2 faint lines going up. That's going to indicate the neck muscles, the neck muscle attachment. And let's just draw the collarbones out towards the shoulders. I'm going to draw a line connecting the neck down like that. That's going to be the trap muscles. Now let's move down to the shoulders. We're going to just wrap the deltoid right around this joint like so. Same thing on the other side, just going to wrap the deltoid right around. You're adding a little bit of volume to the basic shapes that you've put down. Now along the outside here, the arm's going to be pretty much almost straight. Same thing on this side, the arm's almost straight. Again, the more muscles you have, the more kind of bumps and ridges you're going to see there. Now here in the middle, we're going to add in the crease for the armpit. On the other side here, there's going to be the crease for the armpit. And just beneath that, we're going to get the attachment of the inner arm as well as the attachment of the lat muscles on the back. Just under the bicep here, we're going to get a crease for the elbow joint. And under that, we're going to get a curve for the forearm, a little bit of curvature here at the bottom for the shape of the forearm muscles. Now let's move on to the other side. There's going to be a bit of a bulge here on the outer arm, on the outside of the forearm because of that. You see that? Look at that. That muscle right there. Okay, that's what gives that bulge. Now let's talk about the boobs. So I want you to think of them as like water balloons. Think water balloons slapped onto and draped over the round surface of an egg. So let's just draw in the bra line here, and then from this point, let's just drape over these 2 big old water balloons. Now, because there's a lot of volume here, they're going to be kind of hanging over the silhouette of the body. So you see this shape kind of drooping downwards into the side like that because the rib cage is round. And we are going to draw in the shape of this sports bra. We're going to just finish off that silhouette right there, erase away some more construction lines, and there you go. I've just made a whole new generation of Gunnar artists. Now we're going to move down to the waist. Usually around where the elbow is on the arm, you get the thinnest point of the torso, but again, there's variations from person to person. Down here, you're going to get the belly button. From this point, we're going to move on down to the hips. We're going to add some volume here. For the thighs, just going off the reference, we're going to have a slight curve on the inside, slight curve here on the inside, and then even more slight curve at the very bottom here going towards the kneecap. There's going to be our kneecap. Let's mark that down. Now on the outside, we're going to get a curvature. That's going to be where the glutes are attached to the side of the leg, just like that. That curvature indicates the glutes, and then you're going to move your way down to the kneecap. Same thing on the other side. You're going to get more of a curvature on the outside this time because you see more of the silhouette of the quads. Now, if you don't know what these muscles are that I'm talking about, I highly recommend either you go to the gym or just do some boring old muscle anatomy studies. Let's draw in the shape of the kneecap. Now, there's usually a little bit of volume right on the kneecap because the kneecap is actually a pretty large joint. You're going to get more volume on the kneecap just like that. Now moving downwards, okay, we're going to get the inside peak of the calf. That's going to taper down, and the outside peak of the calf. Now the inside peak is always lower than the outside peak. Just remember that. Same thing on this side. We're going to get the inside peak and the outside peak just barely visible on the other side. Now down to the ankles. Let's get the bulge of the bones and let's get the toes. Again, you see how simple this process becomes once you've actually established the right structure and the right shapes. I think for me, this applies to everything in art. You know, as long as you can break it down into simple steps and not overwhelm yourself with too much information at once, I mean, you should be absolutely fine. And there you go. Oh, we forgot the hands. My worst enemies. Now, you can add some hair. You can finish off all the details on your character. You can add some costumes if you want because you've got a solid base to build off of. As a finishing touch here, I'm going to just liquefy the head over a little bit, maybe move the shoulders a little bit. I want to change up the pose to make it look a little bit more dynamic. Maybe move this shoulder up a bit, this shoulder down a bit. There's my OC Kara as a stylized study of anatomy. If you manage to follow along all the way to this point, you should have something very similar to this. And I just want to say, well done. Seriously. Good job. I'm proud of you. Now, hopefully this video helped you guys out and broke down the process in a way that's easy to understand. If you guys want to see a 50-minute lecture version of this tutorial, it's over on my Patreon where I actually talk a little bit more in depth about proportions and muscles and things to pay attention to as you're drawing your characters, both male and female. So yeah, check out my Patreon if you guys want to see a more in-depth version of this tutorial, or if you just want to support what I do here on this channel. I really appreciate it. Now, with all that being said, I'll see you guys on the next video. Let me know what else you guys want to learn. I'll do my best. You guys might have noticed that I'm in a different setting here because I'm in Japan. This is probably going to be our background for the next couple of videos because even when I'm away from the office, I still make sure to feed my village. I love you guys.